Can Notre Dame eliminate the margins by winning the situations? When you aren't as talented, when you don't have as many dudes, guess what? You can still win. You just have to win the critical moments in the game. What are those critical moments, you might add? Well, it's pretty simple. Red zone, end of half, end of game situations, and 3rd and 4th down. That's it. That's it. Because you can make a case that Georgia and Penn State, you stack their rosters up against Notre Dame, you stack them up just 1 through 85, you might take Penn State and Georgia over that version of Notre Dame. You might do that. But guess what Notre Dame did against Georgia and Penn State? They won the margins by winning key situations in the game. Let's start in the red zone. That to me is always the most important. So far in the playoffs, they have allowed 9 red zone drives. This is Notre Dame. They've allowed just 4 touchdowns on those 9 red zone drives. 3 of those 4 touchdowns came against Penn State. So they were lights out in the red zone prior to the game against Penn State. They were giving up just 1 for 5 in the red zone in the first 2 playoff games. They also, in addition to getting stops in the red zone, they forced 2 critical red zone turnovers. One was an interception against Indiana by Xavier Watts. The other was a forced fumble against Georgia that was forced by Adon Schuler. So red zone turnovers, red zone stops, forcing Ohio State to settle for field goals as opposed to touchdowns is massive. Second, 3rd down and 4th down. Notre Dame has given up just 9 of 35 3rd down attempts in the playoffs so far. That's just under 26%. Some of the best teams in college football are like high 20s, low 30s. 25% against some of the best teams is remarkable. But even more impressive is what they've done on 4th down. They've allowed 3 times teams have converted 4th down on them. All right, 3 times. Penn State was 2 for 2. Indiana was 1 for 2. What does that mean? Well, it means that Georgia was 0 for 3 on 4th down against Notre Dame. That, I think, is something that is potentially significant because 4th down stops are the same as turnovers to me. People don't look at it that way. I look at it and think, if you get off the field on 4th down, that to me feels just like an interception or a fumble. So 4th down stops are massive. Against Georgia, they were 3 for 3 defensively. Georgia offensively was 0 for 3. So getting off the field on 4th down is massive. They have allowed just 3 of 6 4th down attempts this year. And then end of half, end of game situations. They have to win those. If they can do that, they're in a great spot. Just like they did against Georgia. End of half situation, sack, fumble, sets up a touchdown. Huge momentum swing going into halftime. Interception against Penn State. This is an end of game situation. Gave an opportunity to kick the game-winning field goal. Think even to Ohio State. What happened with Ohio State and Texas at the end of the half? Well, Ohio State, it's 7-7. Ohio State with 30 seconds left. And just a little screen to TreVeyon Henderson. Boom, 75 yards to the house. Think about how different that game felt going into halftime than it did prior to that 75-yard catch and run when Texas just knotted it up at 7 and had a little momentum for the first time in the game. End of half, end of game situations are massive in this one as well. And if Notre Dame can win those, they can eliminate the gap that exists right now between the 2 rosters.